Okay, so my name is Jane. So some of you may know me as one of the co-founders of the Wolf Agency and Pawjourr. So I am the mom of a chow chow. His name is called Milky. So this year he's turning 3 years old, and we also recently got a Siberian husky. So his name is called Oolong, as in oolong tea. So he's turning 6 months in a few days. Yeah. No, so I think all along I've always been a dog person, but my mom is sort of like she loves clean houses and all. So we couldn't really have a dog, and also because my younger sister has eczema. Yeah. So I remember, I've always wanted a dog for the longest time. I'm always telling her that when are we gonna have a dog? I would think of all the different ways of how I can be rewarded with a dog, but it just didn't work out. She's always saying that, oh, it's a huge commitment, you're not ready, you should get a dog only after you move out, when you have your own place. So yeah, so I think it has always been the desire and the yearning to have a pet, but can't really have it. So how I got Milky was actually a birthday gift from me from my relative. Yeah. So, but how it works is that because my mom is not ready for a dog in the house, so Milky would be staying at my aunt's house until my house is ready, and then he would move in with me. Yeah. Yeah, so I was in love with Milky. He's so adorable. He's just this fluffy ball, white ball running around. He was so small, he was so tiny, and he looks so blurred because his eyes is really tiny. So you can't really see his eyes. He's perpetually sleeping, and I remember I was just really excited, even though he wasn't gonna be staying with me. But I was just really excited, there will be a day whereby he's gonna come home with me and we're just gonna have a life together. So just super excited. It's all positive. I think I really just ignore all the negative stuff, this living thing, this beautiful creature is not gonna poop, no behavioral issue, nothing at all, no aggression, it's just this wonderful gift. Yeah, and I was just really excited. I think with Milky it was a lot easier because he wasn't really living with me, and my aunt, they do have a helper to kind of take care of his basic needs as well. So even I remember he was pooping everywhere, and the helper was literally just taking the newspaper and following behind him, and we're okay, I don't think potty training, this is how it works. So I think definitely it was easier for us because there was someone to take care of his basic needs. But now that thinking back, if it was just me, I don't think it would have been all rosy and sunshine, because Milky is extremely stubborn and he's not very food motivated as well. So it's actually pretty hard to train a chow chow, and they are not really beginner dogs. Yeah, and the shedding is crazy. He drews a lot, and even though from an activity level perspective, you don't really need to take them out for a lot of constant walks, because they're just kind of lazy in nature. But the maintenance, be it the grooming and whatsoever, it's really expensive. Yeah. Yeah, so the thing is that Milky had always been really cute. Everybody is oh, Milky is adorable, you can't really see his eyes, is this is he sleeping, or is he really looking at stuff? And I think since young he would be barking just at random stuff. So being Asians, you'll be oh, is it the house got ghosts? But thinking back then, I think those were the warning signs. And his eyes were constantly also he would have very bad tear stains, and we would think that it's just a chow chow thing, we would just put eye drops and it'll be fine. I think it really came when one day we realized that he was just scratching his eyes excessively, and it was super red. And I think by the time we brought him to the vet, when we realized that things is not supposed to be like this, apparently he has a very bad ulcer in his at both eyes. So I think that was when I first heard of this term, which is called entropion, also known as cherry eye. So it's apparently a very common symptom amongst breeds like Shar-Pei and Chow Chow. And then I started doing like Googling, I started researching, and it's apparently very common. It's basically like, because there are so many folds on the eyelid, so the eyelash like curls in and it's constantly poking on the eyeball, so like causing abrasion and stuff. So fast forward, we went to see a doctor, we went to the clinic that was like, you know, nearest to us. We didn't really like read any reviews, we didn't ask around. We met the doctor. The first female doctor that we met wasn't able to handle him because he was a big dog and, you know, he was struggling a lot. And then we met a second doctor. He assessed him, he said that, oh, it was entropion, he's going to do a surgery. I remember feeling very scared and worried because I think at that point of time he wasn't even like 1 year old. I kind of felt guilty as well because I feel like this could have been something that I caught on, like, you know, like I should know about entropion. I should know like this is a common like disease. I mean like eye condition, and yeah, but anyway, like, you know, we went for the surgery and it was so bad. Like it was so swollen, like his entire eyes were swollen. He looked so upset. And I think like the worst thing was that it didn't get better, you know, like it apparently like the surgery failed. It didn't work out. He had to go for another surgery, and at that point of time his ulcer was extremely bad. Like it literally was covering 80% of his eyeball. So I remember like I was in the office and working, and the vet called me and I was crying. I was like, I mean, like, you told me that the surgery was a successful one, so like what's happening, like what's going on, you know? And at that point of time I was very helpless and desperate. Like I don't know what was like going on, what should I be doing? I mean, like, even if I were to Google entropion, like they're just going to be telling me about the condition. I don't know anybody that has this condition as well. It was just extremely helpless. Yeah, I felt very helpless. I didn't know what to do. We went to like a few more clinics. Some of the doctors were very rude, dismissive, you know, like there was a lack of empathy I felt from some of the vets that I spoke to. And it was just, I think it's just like very emotional because I was the one that kind of like caused him to be suffering, and he's just, I mean, like, he's really just like a puppy. He's not even like 1 year old at that point of time. So like it's just like, yeah, it was really bad. And now, you know, like he went for the second surgery with the recommendation from some of the other Chow Chow owners that I know from the community. So I think like I'll forever be very thankful to like the Chow Chow community in Singapore. They were extremely helpful. They were there. They were, you know, like, they were so helpful, you know. They will be like PMing me and saying that you should go and check out this doctor, you know, like my boy had this issue as well. And eventually we went with Dr. Heng from Mount Pleasant, and, you know, like, it was great. But with Milky right now, he has this layer of grey thing over his eyeball, and it's just there. Like, you know, like, the thing is that I always ask myself, like, is it me that caused it? Like, he could have grown up healthily. I could have detected the issue earlier, but I didn't. And, you know, like, now he's like permanently, like, you know, like, not say blind, but like, I would say that his eyesight is definitely affected. And yeah, I think like it's just this like nagging feeling every now and then about how like I could have done so much better as a pet owner, you know. Yeah, I think like at that point of time, you know, I'm kind of like a new pet owner, and it was just very chaotic. Like, you know, like I got to like, you know, like kind of like run a startup, so like it's always very busy. And at the same time, I need to be looking for ways, like trying to see how I can find a solution for Milky's like eye condition. There was really nobody that I could ask for help before, like, you know, I know the whole like Chow Chow community. I guess like I am active on Instagram, but it wasn't really something that I wanted to talk about because I feel like people would judge me to a certain extent for not taking care of my dog properly, especially since, you know, like I'm not like a student, you know, I'm like a working adult. I should have known better. So I think at that point of time, I really felt very alone and helpless. I remembered feeling extremely upset after the failed surgery because I really thought that, you know, like the doctor was like telling me, oh, everything is successful, it's a great surgery, you know, like Milky is great to go, he's gonna recover. But I think it didn't. I think when it didn't, like my heart really sank when I realized that the ulcer was, like the eye ulcer was so big. Like it was just so obvious, like against the sunlight, it's crazy. And he's gonna be like, you know, his eyesight is gonna be like, kind of like, you know, he's not gonna see properly anymore. And yeah, like, I mean, I just feel so bad to know that like this happened to him because he's such a sweet boy. Like he doesn't have any behavioral issue. I've heard so much things about Chow Chow being aggressive, but he doesn't. He's just such a sweet boy. And you know, like, yeah, I just felt like we could have done better. Yeah, as his parents, like he can't speak, he can't call for help. We should have known the warning signs. And obviously there's always gonna be like the struggle between like, what are we gonna be doing? Like what are the tests that we should be doing? You know, like with vets, like they will always recommend you to go for the full suite of tests. And at the same time, you know, it's expensive. Like it's very hard to balance like your voice of reason and at the same time like in the heat of the moment when everything is happening and like, you know, the bills are just like rolling up. So like the stress, like the tension is definitely there. Yeah. During his recovery period, right, we actually went to stay with him. So me and my husband, we went to my aunt's house. We stayed there for 2 to 3 weeks to really be there with him because he refused to let the helper like drip the eye drop into his eye. So we were there, we had to, you know, kind of like trick him with treats, try to like distract him. Yeah, so I think like during that period of time, it was definitely tiring. You know, we have to change our lifestyle to adapt. But you know, like it's, I mean, thinking back, I would still do it because like I would want to be there to make sure that I'm there for him. I mean, like obviously I appreciate, you know, like the helpers like help and all, but I think like having a dog is really like, it's really like your kid, right? Like it's still the best for you to take care of like your kid by yourself so that you know like what's good, like what's happening. Yeah, so those were the things that we did lah. To be very honest, right, like Milky is an extremely sweet boy. Like he sleeps throughout the night, he doesn't disturb you, he doesn't have any aggression issue, he doesn't have resource guarding, he doesn't have separation anxiety. So he's really like a miracle baby. Like sometimes like we'll be like, I don't think he's a dog, like I think he's a cat because he's so independent. So to be very honest, like the recovery phase wasn't as difficult as we think it is. I think like it's just the fact of, I think it's just this constant nagging of guilt, like that, you know, like he didn't have to go through this. If we had spotted the warning signs earlier. I think another like key insight that I've gotten out of this whole issue, I mean based on what the vet said, was that his parents actually had entropion, but you know, like the breeders still continue to breed the parents because it's cute, right? And that's where, you know, like the genetics like were passed on to the kids as well, and it's just gonna be there forever. And I guess now that I think back, I also, so that's why like Oolong wasn't from a pet shop, but more from like, you know, like it's from a family, from a friend. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like thinking back, I mean like they shouldn't have done it, right? Because you kind of like ruin like the life of all these like new puppies. Like they are gonna have entropion, they need to be, so Milky needs to go for corrective surgery like every 3 to 4 years in his entire lifetime. And it's just not fair on him. I mean like, I mean, now that I think about it, I'm angry, right? Like, it's not fair on him. Like, you kind of like just decided to breed because it's cute, you earn the money, but the pain, the surgery and all, it's all gonna be on this living creature, you know? Like, I don't think it's fair. I'm not against like people buying from pet shop. I think everyone has their own choice, but I just, through this, you know, episode, I really realized that you need to be extremely careful about who you buy from, and you never know what goes behind the scene. Yeah, so I think there were just a lot of things that I started to think about now that, you know, like Milky has enteropian, and what if, like, you know, we couldn't afford it, like financially, like what are we going to do? Are we going to give up on him? I've heard of people who never returned for their dog because they couldn't afford the surgery. I mean, like, that's crazy, right? So yeah, I think like it's really a huge commitment, like when you decide to welcome a pet into your family. It's extremely expensive to actually own a dog in Singapore if your dog have to go through like surgical procedure. So for Milky, I think we spent like $6,000 on his entire surgery, of which like a lot could have been saved if we didn't go for the first surgery, or at least if the first surgery was successful. I think through that, right, what I really learned is that you shouldn't just go to any clinic or any vet. Like, even within Singapore, there are certain doctors that are known for certain medical condition. Like, after, you know, like going through this entire like thing, I realized that in Singapore there are only probably 2 doctors that are kind of like pretty well known for enteropian issues, one of which is Dr. Heng from Mount Pleasant, Clementi. So that is, you know, if I had known about this much earlier, and I only know about this from the Chow Chow community because I was lucky that someone kind of like follow our journey on Instagram and added me into the WhatsApp chat. That's how I came into contact with all the other owners in Singapore. I wouldn't even have went to the first clinic. Like, I would have just went straight to someone who is a specialist, you know, like get it accessed and get it done so that he doesn't need to suffer for so long, especially since for Chow Chow, each time they go under GA, according to the vet, like it's a added risk because their windpipe is extremely thin and they might just choke on their own saliva and die during the surgery, which actually happens. So I think my husband was extremely stressful. He was actually hesitant for Milky to go for the second surgery because he was so scared that Milky would die during the surgery. So he was like prancing up and down in the clinic. He was visibly stressed out, and I was just telling him that I think he needs to do it because, like, I mean, just look at his eye. And that's where he was like, okay, cool. So we went for it, and I mean, like, thank God it was like a successful surgery lah. Yeah. I think something that I would definitely do differently is to research on Chow Chow more. I think that like I would definitely have purchased pet insurance because it's expensive, and I think I would definitely try to make more friends in the online community, especially for Chow Chow owners, to kind of like understand, you know, how is puppyhood like, how is adulthood like, what are some of the stuff that we should be avoiding, how do you like feed your Chow Chow, because I mean throughout his pet ownership, you know, like there were also times whereby Milky have had like heat spots or rashes or like skin allergies, and you know, like it's always very reactive, like only after something has happened and then like you would go and find solution for it. But if let's say I have this, you know, like group of people or at least like information that I can read about to kind of like prevent certain things from happening, then he don't need to go through like the pain of going through all this like stuff. Yeah, I think like that is something that I would do differently. Yeah. It's not as rosy as you think. It's really a very huge commitment. There's a lot of things that you need to change, your lifestyle, financially. It's really almost like having a baby. Yeah, like it's a baby that will actually destroy your house. It's a baby that's gonna poop around and bark, and it's just not easy. You can't just like give up your dog, you see. Like after you have gotten him, like it's your responsibility. You need to be responsible for this living creature. He's wholly dependent dependent on you. So, you know, don't just think about like the present, because I understand that, you know, right now a lot of people are working from home. They feel that having a pet is going to, like, you know, make their life a lot more fulfilled. But what happens after you return to office? Like, it's not fair on your dog to leave him or her at a house for like 10 hours straight. Like, you wouldn't want to be kept in a cage for 10 hours straight, right? So like, it's really something that you need to think carefully. Yeah, it's not just about the fluffy puppyhood. It's really about everything. Yeah. Definitely expensive, but rewarding. Expensive, rewarding, and I think it's a journey. Yeah. I think like a lot of people always see like those videos, right, of cute dogs and cats on like TikTok or on Facebook, and they think that, oh, this is so cute, I wish I have one. But it's really not just about that. Like, you know, beneath like all these videos and photos, like, it's a lot of struggles, it's a lot of like tears, it's a lot of like money being spent to really bring up like this pet. So yeah, like, don't always believe like social media. Don't believe what others tell you, like, you know, oh, it's so easy, you know, like, how difficult can a dog be, how difficult can a cat be? Like, everyone's experience is going to be different. It's going to be rewarding for sure, but just make sure that you're really ready for it.